Everyone, I'm Nandini Vomireddy. This is my first YouTube video. I am a recent graduate from Northeastern University Seattle campus. I studied my master's in computer science and I'm currently working as a software development engineer at Amazon Robotics. So in this video, I plan to share my entire Northeastern journey through semester by semester. And in my upcoming videos, I plan to share them in more detail, like covering my co-op search process and interviews and how did I approach my networking skills, and also how did I ended up working as a SDE at Amazon Robotics. So yep, let's get started. My preparation for summer 2025 internship started before I even landed in US. So I wanted to start applying to the internships as early as possible. So that was my first strategy. So I made sure my resume was ready before I landed. At that point, I didn't have full-time work experiences. So my resume was mostly around internships, research experiences, and leadership roles at which I worked during my undergrad. Once I started with my first semester at Northeastern in fall 2024, I began applying for my summer 2025 internships right away. Along with applications, I continued by DSA preparation, lead code patterns, and I started attending networking events from like various student interest groups and also hackathons. I was also getting online assessments along parallelly as I started applying early. And throughout my internship search, I ended up giving around 15 plus online assessments. So, my first semester was basically about balancing academics and applications, networking, and interview preparation. Going into my second semester, I continued applying to my summer internships, but I also started attending and involving more on campus by attending hackathons and networking events, and also doing research under professors to build more Gen AI experience by working on projects. Around that time, I started getting my interview calls as well. But then I realized that, I need to strengthen my lead code preparation. So, based on the interview feedback which I was getting, I went back, revised the concepts again, and continued practicing while applying. By the end of March, I realized that the internship, like the recruiter cycle was over. But then at that moment, I started approaching various, startup founders and like engineers, managers, to make sure that, I get some or the other experience during the summer. But luckily, I heard back from my recruiter almost at the end of the recruiter's recruitment cycle for SDE fall co-op at Amazon Robotics. That was the turning point of my journey. Once I heard back from my recruiter at Amazon Robotics for the SDE co-op, I gave my online assessment within the same week, and then I picked the first interview slot available for the interview. And I'll be sharing the whole interview process in my upcoming videos. Once my internship interview process is done, I heard back from my recruiter saying that, I got selected for the fall co-op and all that. As soon as that's done, I realized that, I have 4 courses left for my masters to complete. So I took a decision to complete one course like in two months. It was my first half of the summer. Along with my internship, I was doing that. It was a bit hectic, but then that was the best decision in order to graduate early in the summer itself, so that I can only take, I can take all 3 courses which are left in the final semester. Once I got back from my internship in my final semester, I really wanted to get back to leadership roles, which I was doing in my undergrad. So I wanted to continue that kind of skills in me. So I wanted to give back to students. So I ended up doing 3 roles on campus, like along with the 3 courses which I was taking. So the first role was a teaching assistant for cloud computing, and a second one was career peer advisor, and third one is Corey student advisory board member. So I'll be covering this, like, all about all the rules in detail in my upcoming videos as well. Yeah, that's about it. And also along with that, like, I was making sure that, like, all the hackathons or whatever is going on in campus, I was still attending those because, like, I need to be ready for the industry, right? Like, and Gen AI was evolving so fast, so I made sure that, like, I build up more projects during that time. And I was also working on a research project as part of my course. And we built a project called Omnicodex, which is a medical data related Gen AI project. So that was a cool one, I got to do. And then I graduated in May 2026, after which, like, I have joined full time as an SDE at Amazon Robotics in June 2026. Yeah, so that's about it, about the whole northeastern experience. And the best part out of it is was my parents were here during my graduation ceremony. And also I was very much honored to receive the Laurel and Scroll 100 award, which for which, like, most of the advisors and the directors who I've worked with have given such good, like, nominations, that I was selected for that. And it was such a pleasure, like, for our parents to watch such kind of moments. So I'm very grateful that I was able to make it, like, make them come here. Yeah, it was so rewarding, like, my whole northeastern experience. Yeah, if you have any questions, like, through, like, about any of the parts of my whole journey, I would be happy to answer them in the comments, or address them in my upcoming videos. Yeah, this is my first video, so I hope, like, it's helpful.